Right, Jim, we've talked at length about this one. Now we've got this. This is the Scandi VersiTip. Now these obviously are tips.
That's right.
These are leaders that
That's
go
right.
with that line.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, can I use these leaders on this? Would that work?
It's a common question that you ask, and it's probably one of the biggest questions that we get asked, in so much as what is a VersiTip, what is a Versi leader, can I put this on that, as you have done just there. Is if we take for an example, if we put this 15-foot tip on something like a full shooting head such as the Scandi, then it's simply too much of a tip to put on the end. The difference between these two lines in essence is this: the tips for this line is to make it one complete head, if you will. This line has actually been tweaked, so it's been shortened to facilitate the casting of proper heavier duty 15-foot tips, if you will. Whereas with the Scandi floating head, they are 10-foot Versi leaders to, as we've said, look at getting a little bit more depth, but also to smooth the turnover and improve the performance of that actual line system.
So this one, I heard you mention before, just before we came in the studio, this is a bit of a ghillie's favourite.
Yeah,
Why
certainly.
is that?
Because the ease of casting.
Right.
If you imagine that you was a ghillie yourself, the river is carrying a little bit of extra water, and let's just say that you know that in order for these guys to catch fish, then something like a 3/4 inch copper tube, a willy gun as an example, down in the tail of the pot is going to catch fish on this given day. Now that is quite an ask for a lot of people, but with such a short head, and certainly combined with a sinking tip, this is a very easy line to do that particular job.
Does it load the rod better?
Not necessarily. I mean, the weight is closer to the tip, but again, a lot of it is around the shortness of the actual line. The shorter the line, the shorter the forward stroke. And altogether easier, less fatiguing.
I'm with you.
And at one time, dealing with faster sinking tips such as this, and also copper tubes. It was certainly a job of the experience. So it's not surprising really, and certainly in my travels.
I can vouch for that, definitely.
Ghillies. A few ghillies that I know have got these in their armouries for such conditions.
And you mentioned something, you touched on something there just before we came onto the camera. You mentioned the fact that these lines, because they're a little bit longer, you can fish that fly a little bit deeper for longer, is that right?
The tips are actually longer, and what happens is, if you imagine that that's a floating line on the river with a 10-foot tip, now a strong current is going to lift a 10-foot Versi leader a lot easier than it will a longer tip. So for sure, these longer Versi tips are certainly going to get that much deeper.
They'll bed in better.
Absolutely, they'll dig in.
Well, thanks for that, Jim. That explained an awful lot, especially to me as a layperson. I didn't do enough salmon fishing, but you know your onions. There you go, Scandi VersiTip. Absolutely fantastic casting line. I was very impressed with that. I'd love to get a shot of one myself. Thanks again, Jim.
Right.